everybody, and welcome to the show from Common Room Radio. I'm Sarah K. Bazan, and hello, secret camera.
I'm Alistair Stevens, and hold on a sec. Are you trying to tell me that Bruce Wayne is Batman's roommate?
And I'm Vinton Bannon. I don't talk about feelings. I don't have any. Never seen one. I'm a night-stalking, crime-fighting vigilante and a heavy metal rapping machine. I don't feel anything emotionally except for rage. 24/7, 365 at 1,000,000%. And if you think that there's something behind that, then you're crazy.
I'm a little intimidated.
I'm a little bit, yeah. Welcome to Excelsior. This is the beginning of Bat Month. For the month of October, we're doing all Batman all the time. It's going to be very, very good. I'm very, very excited. This week, we're covering the Lego Batman movie.
Because where else would we start?
Seriously.
With the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah, we already did Batman 66, so we can't start there.
Right. This month is going to get a little darker, so we figured we'd start with something bright and shiny.
Yes, yes.
Vinton, can you invite a special guest, perhaps, to flip over the VHS for us and tell us a little about this movie?
Yeah, today we have a special guest. His name is Batman.
Oh, I've heard of him.
Yeah, I don't know if you...
I had no idea that this is happening, and I'm so pleased. Hello, Batman. Welcome to the studio.
Hi, Sarah Kate. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm going to flip over this VHS.
Thanks, Batman.
Now, can we just note that this VHS is labeled Bat VHS?
It's the Bat VHS.
Yeah,
I got it from the Bat VCR.
Of course.
The Bat VCR doesn't work very well these days. It eats tapes.
Now, you were a big advocate of Bat Betamax, or as you called it, Batamax.
Batamax, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They wouldn't change the name, so I refused to fund them. That's why they lost the race.
And that's DC canon. You didn't know that, but it is.
All right, let me read this thing. My time is valuable. Are you ready for the best movie you've ever seen? Starring me, Batman. It's a butt-kicking action flick with a few laughs in the vein of Jerry Maguire, Muscle of Dogs, Marley and Me, and Serendipity. Man, I love those movies. And no, it's not just a Toy Story ripoff like VapeMaster69 keeps posting in the comments of my blog. VapeMaster69, can we trust him? No, we can't. Anyways, I should also mention it has a few background characters. I'm the only star in this movie. So also appearing in this film, you'll see Jokes. Yeah, I call him that sometimes. Commissioner Bigo, Alfred the Butler, that's with 2 T's. And my son, who won't wear pants. It's the Lego Me movie. Batman out.
He just smoke bombed right out of here.
He sure did.
Yeah. He didn't even yell smoke bomb. He usually yells smoke bomb.
Weird gargoyles on the ceiling that he could grapple to, but now
I don't know how he did it, but now we have to deal with this bat smoke all over the place. That was great. We are bankrupt now, it turns out, because of the money that we had to give Batman to flip over that VHS, but worth it.
And if you hear like my voice being raspy or me coughing, that's the smoke bomb. Definitely nothing else.
That's what it is. That's the only reason.
So let's get into it, I guess.
Sarah, how many times have you seen the Lego Batman movie?
I don't know, like 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
I love it very much. No, it's my favorite Batman movie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Vinton, how many times have you seen this?
So this is funny because I definitely saw it in theaters when it first came out. I may have seen it in theaters twice, and I think I've watched it once since then.
Oh,
but that's really weird because it may be one of my favorite movies of all time, and I just forgot that.
You're savoring it. That seems appropriate.
I don't want to ruin it by just watching it too often. I bought it on Blu-ray as soon as it came out, and I think maybe I opened it to use the voodoo code, and that was it.
I have a 2-year-old boy and a 4-year-old boy living in this house, so I have seen the Lego Batman movie 25,000 times.
Yes.
I know every line of this movie pretty much by heart, and I still love it.
Yeah.
And if it can survive that kind of repetition, then I think it's pretty good. It took me a long while to see the Lego Batman movie because I hadn't seen the Lego movie for the longest possible time. I tried to watch that once, got like 5 minutes in and thought it was incomprehensible garbage and turned it off. I was very wrong. And I
were very wrong.
To, the Lego Corporation.
The Legos.
Yeah, all Legos.
All
sorry,
citizens
Legos.
of Legoville.
Legotropolis.
Lego City.
Yeah.
It's not very well named.
Bricktown? Bricktown? That's a good joke for Oklahomans.
Oh, man. That's a good one. This is why I love you. You're so smart.
Vin, tell us a little about the creative team behind the bizarre and bewildering wonder that is the Lego Batman movie.
All right. So first up, we have Chris McKay, the director. He's a director, producer, editor, animator, and visual effects artist, best known for directing and editing 3 seasons of Robot Chicken, 2 seasons of Moral Oral on Adult Swim. And
Moral Oral? I I forgot about Moral Orel. Oh my gosh.
I never really liked that show, and I think it's because I really liked Davy and Goliath growing up, which I didn't like grow up watching, like being forced to watch it. I watched that in college, and for some reason I really liked it. I don't know why. Like, it wasn't the story or anything. I just really liked the show for some reason. It had a charm. I don't know. Enough about that. He worked as an animation director, or co-director, I should say, on the Lego movie before this film, and this film was his directorial debut. He is set to produce an Adventure Time theatrical film and is attached to direct a live-action film about Nightwing for the DCEU.
Which I'm very interested in.
That's really great.
He had a lot of creative say in this movie. From the things I've read, it seemed like most of the things really came out of stuff that he was thinking about. A lot of the decisions came from just his love for Batman. He's a huge Batman fan. He has a big Catwoman tattoo on his arm.
That's
so
cool.
I think a lot of the end jokes this movie is filled with possibly came partially from him. And so it'll be interesting to see his take on Nightwing. I'm really into that.
Oh, definitely. It certainly feels like a film with a very strong directorial vision. The voice is pretty consistent throughout the entire movie, which is, I mean, puts it in stark contrast to a lot of the DC movies that we get that kind of feel like they were written and produced by a committee. Yeah. This feels like a fan project. It feels like something that was done by someone who obviously loves the source material a great deal.
Yeah, and I think he probably brought a lot of the unity because this movie did have a lot of screenplay writers. As
oh, really?
The story and partially the screenplay was written by Seth Grahame-Smith, the New York Times bestselling author known for Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Oh my goodness. I enjoy those books.
Both of which he adapted as feature films, not as successfully.
No.
He also wrote the script for Tim Burton's Dark Shadows and was a producer for the It remake that just came out. He was set to produce and maybe write the third Gremlins film, though that's currently on hold, and is writing a script for the Beetlejuice sequel. He's also set to make his directorial debut, making a remake of Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Interesting.
How cool.
So he's doing a lot of cool things there.
That there were a lot of writing credits. There are, in fact, 14 credited writers.
I'm sorry,
okay,
what?
But not really, though. There are 5 writers attached to the screenplay. Seth Grahame-Smith gets a story by credit as well as a screenplay credit. Then we get Bob Kane and Bill Finger for creating Batman.
Right. Sure,
We get Siegel and Schuster for creating Superman. We get William Moulton Marston for creating Wonder Woman. And then 3 guys who worked at Lego for creating Lego, I guess.
How? Hang on.
Hey, we created those, okay?
There are particular Lego jokes and Lego references, you know, pieces from old Lego sets.
Sure.
That are apparently their intellectual property, so they get a credit on the movie and an IMDb page.
That's
yay.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think the screenplay alone, though, had, 5 people working on it.
Seth Grahame-Smith, Chris McKenna, Eric Summers, Jared Stern, and John Whittington.
Right. And I'm only going to talk about 2 of those because there was just 2 that had specific things I wanted to talk about. And that's Chris McKenna and Eric Summers. They both worked on the TV show Community. McKenna writing some of the most critically acclaimed episodes on that show. And they both worked on the screenplay for Spider-Man Homecoming. And they are both writing the screenplays for the sequel to that film and Ant-Man and the Wasp. McKenna also worked on the screenplay for Winter Soldier and is credited with a lot of the jokes that made it into that film.
That's awesome.
Community being the weird fountainhead for all the writers currently working in superhero
Apparently.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I love it. I love it.
So now we're going to talk about the actors in this film. We don't have near enough time to talk about everyone because this is a really star-studded cast.
Yeah,
and we could spend a whole podcast just talking about the actors. So we won't really be deep diving any of our actors this time, just a brief list of all the majors. First, we have Will Arnett reprising his role from the Lego movie as Batman. And Conroy will always be my favorite Batman, but Arnett really super surprised me with how well he does Batman.
For listeners who may not know, you're referring to Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman through the animated series and in many Batman-associated video games.
Yes.
He is pretty much the definitive Batman voice. I think certainly my definitive Batman voice. I missed him a little bit in this movie. I really like what Will Arnett does. I like Will Arnett more in this movie than I do in most things.
Yeah.
But I did kind of miss Kevin Conroy. But his voice, I think, wouldn't have suited the
that's what I was going to say. I just can't see it playing well for that. I heard, and I haven't watched it yet, but the new Batman and Harley Quinn movie, animated movie he's in, they try playing jokes with him, and I heard they do not go well because his voice just does not lend to this goofy style of Batman making jokes. Like, I guess he makes a fart joke or something, and it's just like, this is weird. Yeah, I don't know. I just heard somebody talking about it on another podcast. I haven't actually watched that yet, so I can't speak to it.
I definitely have to watch that movie.
I guess so.
Yeah, weird. I just don't think he could pull it off, really. But again, he is my Batman.
Yeah.
Michael Cera is playing Robin/Dick Grayson, which perfect choice, really.
A really perfect choice.
He
A
does
surprisingly
such a good
perfect
job,
choice.
yeah.
He does, and he doesn't do the Michael Cera thing.
Yeah.
Which I think is really impressive.
Yes.
I love Michael Cera in many, many things. Scott Pilgrim and Arrested Development most notably, but I'm surprised at how he blends in here.
Yeah, he's got a
Really
unique
suits the
character
world.
for this.
Yeah.
It's really nice to see. Rosario Dawson plays Batgirl and Barbara Gordon. And we talked more about her on our Defenders episode if you want to go hear some more about her. Ralph Fiennes plays Alfred Pennyworth, known for playing Voldemort, but not in this film specifically.
It's like they had a chance to get like wicked meta in here, and they just were like, we're not going to do that. It was a
He's
shame.
allowed to. I wonder if he would have been allowed to
Yes,
recapitulate his role.
the
as
director
Voldemort.
mentioned that he kind of wanted to do it, but then he was like, I feel like it'll just be like a weird joke that I actually don't want. So he just decided to cast somebody else.
So instead, it's Eddie Izzard. It's British comedian Eddie Izzard appearing in this movie as Voldemort, which is perfect in many ways.
Yeah, it works well.
You turn into a fish. You turn into a frog. You turn into a frogfish.
When he goes back to the Phantom Zone, fudge cakes. Does he
Fudge
say
cakes.
Fudge
Fudge cakes.
fudge cakes.
Voldemort's favorite wizard swear.
Fudge cakes.
That's a very deep cut McElroy joke.
Yes, it is.
Like, very much.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good bit.
Yes,
just
it
go
is.
and go to YouTube and just go search for McElroy wizard swears, and you'll find the clip. It's well worth listening to.
Yes. All of their podcasts are mostly. So just go listen to all of their podcasts. Do what I did.
Listen in order in the span of, I don't know, 2 months to 350 episodes of My Brother and Me.
It takes a certain type of person.
It does. A dedicated and possibly insane type of person.
One of the surprising credits in this film is Susan Bennett, who plays the computer, credited as Pewter, because that's what Batman says so often, who is the voice of Siri. She was actually credited as Siri, I think, on the film for a joke. Bennett used her Siri voice, but was credited as Siri, like I said. And as an update for the iPhone, whenever users say, "Hey, computer," in their iPhone, you'll get a little Batman phrase said back to you.
Now, do you both have iPhones?
Yeah.
I use an Android device.
I do have
Can
an
you try
iPhone.
this right now? Do you have Siri set up? We can just do this live on the podcast.
Hey, computer.
Hello, sir. I've heated up your lobster thermidor in the microwave. I'm one step ahead of you, Alfred.
That was fantastic. I'm so glad we did that.
Sometimes Apple does really good things. They might completely trash your device and your battery life and ruin the podcast app with their new software update, but sometimes they put
these
in
things
Lego
happen.
Batman Easter eggs.
Zach Galifianakis plays the Joker in this film.
He did such a
That's a
good,
really good
job.
job.
Yeah.
This was really controversial casting at the time. I wasn't at all sure what I thought about this casting. I think he's great.
I think so too. Yeah.
In exactly the same way as Kevin Conroy is my Batman, Mark Hamill is my Joker,
Yes.
and I kind of miss him too.
Yeah.
But equally, I don't think he could have carried this material.
Right.
Sure, yeah.
And it was cool because I read that Zach Galifianakis actually took his cues from Jack Nicholson's Joker, and so that's really where he built that character.
Oh, that's
I really
awesome.
appreciate that, because if it wasn't for the animated Joker, Jack Nicholson would probably be my guy, because I really like Jack Nicholson's Joker for some reason.
really good performance.
I don't know if it's just nostalgia or what.
Very
but-
atypical Joker performance, but yeah, I like it a lot.
Next, we have Jenny Slate, who played Harley Quinn.
I love Jenny Slate so much. She brings me so much joy.
Probably no best as Mona Lisa Saperstein from Parks and Rec.
She's the worst.
Just like Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Just like her. In many ways, just like her.
Jason Mantzoukas is playing the Scarecrow.
Mm-hmm.
Conan O'Brien, surprisingly, playing the Riddler for, his like 2 lines in the film.
Sure, yeah.
But one of which is one of my favorite lines in the
Yes.
entire film, by the way. So credit to Conan O'Brien for nailing that one.
Definitely.
Do you want to tell us what that line is? Because
We'll get to it. We'll get to it, yes.
Doug Benson does Bane's voice and was hired because of his famous Tom Hardy Bane impersonations on his podcast and in his stand-up.
Yes, if
That's
you've ever listened to Doug
amazing.
Loves Movies, you'll have heard him do
Yeah.
his Bane impression in pretty much every episode since that movie came out. It's adorable.
Yeah. One of my favorite bits of casting is Billy D. Williams playing Two-Face.
Yeah.
Williams had previously portrayed Two-Face's alter ego Harvey Dent in Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film. He was eager to also portray the actual Two-Face character, but never got the chance to because Joel Schumacher took over the film and recast that character with Tommy Lee Jones.
So, with the exception of Will Arnett recapitulating his role from the Lego movie, is Billy D. Williams the only person in this entire cast who is playing a character that he has already played? I think he must be,
I
right?
think so, yeah.
I think so because there were.
Well, is who plays Superman in this one?
I don't.
Is
That's
it
what I'm
Channing
saying.
Tatum?
It's Channing Tatum, but I don't
I'm pretty
know
sure
who-
Channing Tatum was Superman in the Lego movie.
Was he?
Also.
I wasn't sure
okay,
about
all
that.
right. Yeah, sure,
Also,
sure.
the Flash shows up in the Lego movie, but I don't think he ever says anything.
Yeah.
So he's
I like
not
my
played by
Flash.
anybody.
Possibly also Green Lantern. I think that Green Lantern has some lines.
Jonah Hill.
Yeah. Then he definitely. Yeah.
We'll get to that too. But as I mentioned that Billy D. Williams is doing the voice, but they also designed the character off of him, which I really appreciated. So you got to see, a Lego version of what Billy D. Williams would have looked like as Two-Face, which is really cool.
I really hope he has that little minifig on his desk.
Oh,
You
sure,
would have
yeah.
to, right?
Yeah. That makes me want to look up later to see if that's what the actual Lego minifigs are. Are they actually Billy D. Williams Two-Faces?
I would want them to be.
I would want
Let's
them to
find
be.
out
I'm going to go buy one on
after the
eBay.
show is over. Yes.
Zoe Kravitz is playing Catwoman, and then Katie Micucci is playing Clayface, and Ricky Lindholm is playing Poison Ivy. And Katie and Ricky are Garfunkel and Oates, the comedy musical duo, for those who know.
I just adore. They are just.
It was
brilliant.
really interesting whenever Clayface spoke with the voice of a small child sounding person. That was confusing initially, but now that I know that it was because it was Garfunkel and Oates, that makes, I understand. Kinda.
Yeah, the deep cut cast here does read like a list of everyone that you would want to work with in comedy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. As we mentioned, Eddie Izzard is Voldemort. Seth Green does King Kong.
I would never have guessed that in a million years. I would have guessed every other actor in the world before I guessed Seth Green. That's perfect.
It still works really well. Jermaine Clement does a great job playing Sauron. Jermaine Clement, for those who don't know, is one member of the comedy musical duo of Flight of the Conchords, and his partner in music was in one of the Lord of the Rings films, and they're both from New Zealand. That's a
Also,
little fun
Jermaine Clement was the voice of Tamatoa in Moana.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, he does a lot of good work. And then we have Ellie Kemper, who played Phyllis, and
Okay, I've seen this movie a lot. I've seen it enough now to where I'll get a chuckle here and there from the things that made me laugh hysterically in the movie theater. But anytime that Phyllis, the Lego brick, shows up and just hi, I die. It's so good. I adore Ellie Kemper.
yeah, she is fantastic. I fell in love with her watching The Office, and then of course she got her own show,
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix, and that show is also fantastic.
Yes,
And I just can't get enough of her and her
great talent.
great acting.
Yeah.
We already mentioned that Channing Tatum does Superman, Jonah Hill does Green Lantern, Adam Devine does The Flash, Hector Elizondo does Jim Gordon, and Mariah Carey does Mayor McCaskill.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
What?
I thought that was interesting.
Why not?
Why not?
Sure.
Indeed.
It's a pretty big. That's not even all the cast.
No, that's just
No.
that's just
By no
the majorities.
means all the cast. Yes.
Yeah, we don't have time.
No time.
There's a lot to talk about in this movie.
Has time because we have to talk about the origins of Batman, the
right.
figure, the enigmatic figure who has inspired Batmonth here on Excelsior.
Yes.
Batman's origin story is shrouded in darkness and smoke.
I have
Vinton-
I don't know what his deal is. So, Vinton, can you please, for once, explain to me, what is Batman's situation?
Yeah. Well, as I said in our Superman episode on Man for All Seasons, typically DC tells stories without holding to a tight canon throughout its history. So they're more like myths, having varying details, but the heart is always there. Mm-hmm. So there's many variations to Batman's origins. Yeah. So it's understandable that you guys just really don't know how he began. But the basic part is that that really isn't talked about enough, I don't think. Mm-hmm. And that we here on Excelsior really want to raise awareness about throughout this month is that Bruce Wayne's parents were killed in front of him in a mugging when he was a child. It's a really sad story, I know. This inspired him to take justice into his own hands, becoming the Batman.
Okay.
And he does this to strike fear into the hearts of evildoers.
Oh.
That makes a lot. I kind of wish that we'd had a more modern retelling of that.
Yeah,
origin
doesn't it,
story.
like-
Yeah,
Wouldn't
why
hurt
haven't
to-
we dealt with that yet?
I don't know. I think it would really brings a new understanding of the character when you have this new light to
Yeah,
cast
no, it
on
really
all the
does.
stories.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had just taken for granted, the Batman, but now, I think that I get it more.
Right.
Yeah.
So now that we've talked about the character in fiction, let's talk a little bit about his creation. Batman was created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. Bill Finger was integral in this creation, but Kane's name ended up on everything because he handled the business side of things. This has since been somewhat fixed with Finger's name being added back on to the credits of all Batman related films and comics and that type of things. But it's a long and continuing battle for the legacy of Bill Finger. We talked a little bit more on that on the Batman 1966 movie episode that we did. But anyone wanting to know more should check out the documentary Batman and Bill, which is So good and really informative.
Yeah.
Kane was inspired by Zorro for Batman's aristocratic hero with a double identity side, while Finger drew inspiration from Doc Savage, The Shadow, Dick Tracy, and Sherlock Holmes, making the character the world's greatest detective. Batman made his debut in Detective Comics 27 in May 1939, with Robin being introduced just shortly after in Detective Comics 38 in 1940 as a Watson type. And this great success of that introduction, with all the sales that they got from it, inspired a whole flood of kids' sidekicks in comics.
Yeah, Robin is not the first kid sidekick, but he is the one that worked. He is the one that
that's so
made every
interesting.
DC hero
their
in
sales
particular
blew
have
up after
a kid sidekick. That's why we got Superboy
Oh
and
man,
Kid Flash.
gun to my head, I would have said that Robin was probably the very first one, or else, I mean, like, wasn't Bucky originally like a kid sidekick to
absolutely,
Captain America?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The first issue of the solo spin-off series, Batman #1, was the first appearance of the Joker and Catwoman, but also had the story in which Batman shoots some monstrous giants to death.
What?
This prompted editor Whitney Ellsworth to decree that the character could no longer kill or use a gun, which became
Oh
a
my
big
gosh,
part
you
of
just
who
get
Batman
to say
is.
that? You just get
Yeah.
to do that? Just like, no more killing.
No more guns. Yeah,
No
you
more
go back
guns.
and read those early issues of Batman and Detective Comics, and he just uses a gun all the time.
That's
It's
amazing.
It was
very strange.
Detective Comics. He was supposed to be like a detective type of guy, carrying
Like
around
a
a gun with all
hard-boiled
the
detective,
hard-boiled stuff. And really, when they introduced Robin, that's really when a lot of the pulpness started to drain out of it. And they just kind of took the character in a new direction there. We could talk about Batman's publication history all day, but we don't have time. Let's move on to some basic facts about this movie. The sets in this film, though digitally created, are enormous and super detailed. If built out of real Lego bricks, the Batcave would measure half a mile from end to end.
I'm sorry, what?
Half a
Half
mile.
a mile
These are
out
like-
of real
And so I'm not saying
Lego
like
bricks.
the Batcave itself is half a mile. If it was real Lego bricks being built by a child, it would reach a half a mile long.
Okay.
So to scale, it must be like 8 miles long.
real
It must
long.
be crazy.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know what the scale is between Batman Lego bricks and real life.
people. Yeah, no, I mean,
Real
Legos are so
Batman.
little. They're so small.
Just tiny little.
That being said, the Gotham City that they built is super detailed. They put a lot of work into this, and apparently a lot that you don't even see that they put into it. And this would take up 6.5 football fields.
Wow.
Of Lego bricks.
Yep, of Lego bricks.
Which kind of puts the Lego collection at the end of the Lego movie to shame.
Well, yeah.
It's just not that impressive anymore. That's
this is
crazy. Digital
really
Lego, you
intense.
guys, it's the way to go. It's the wave of the future. Throw away all your Lego bricks and use your iPad.
There actually used to be, I remember that we owned at one point, there was like a Lego game where you had like all the bricks and things and you could like build stuff in your little game and things like that. And so like they've done that before, but I guess, I don't know, you're missing the tactile sensation. I guess once we all live in the VR world of Ready Player One, then you'll get your, like, oh my gosh, we can actually visit the Lego Batcave. Man, I wish the future was now.
Well, they do have a VR version of the Batcave that you can go to. I don't know how to find it, but I know that they released that with when they were doing the movie, that you could VR walk around if you have one of those like VR headsets and look around the Batcave that they built, which is such a great idea because they put so much work into it and you don't really get to see that much of it in the movie. You just get blurred out backgrounds of a lot of crazy, awesome stuff.
Excellent.
Speaking of background items, this movie is overflowing with Easter eggs. We don't have time for most of them, but keep an eye out for signs, labels, billboards, and look up some internet articles. I can't believe how many weird Easter eggs that they fit into this. And I really think it was the director, his fandom really pushed him to
What
just
is your
put so many
favorite
different
weird
things in there.
Easter egg in this movie?
I don't know. There's so many dumb ones, like with different billboards, like there's a soda that I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head that appears in Batman comics pretty often. And there's a billboard for that. And I thought that was pretty funny. But there's, the airline is named for something that comes up in Green Lantern comics pretty often. There's pretty much any time that you see a sign for anything, it's from the comics.
Yeah.
That's just how it is in this.
Pretty great.
Yeah, you put me on the spot. I'm not prepared
I'm
for this.
sorry. You had a list.
There's a BuzzFeed list to go out there. Things long. You
I
can
could get on my
spend 4 hours
computer,
clicking
but
through
I'm just
it.
going to be honest and move on. Director Chris McKay originally wanted to include a number of villains from R-rated films among the Phantom Zone prisoners, but he was forced to drop it as it was deemed inappropriate for an all-ages film.
Was he gonna have like Scarface in there?
Actually, some of them included Bill from Kill Bill, Annie Wilkes from Misery, and Bill the Butcher Cutting from Gangs of New York.
Huh.
It would have been tough to integrate tonally.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad we went with gremlins and a Tyrannosaurus Rex and a shark.
By the way, I would like to talk about how I think that it's unfair that dinosaurs end up in the Phantom Zone because dinosaurs are not inherently evil. They're just big lizards. They don't know right from wrong.
My understanding is that it's not all dinosaurs. Those are the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park.
Well, no. Okay, first of all, the Velociraptors were the good guys in Jurassic. No, wait, hang on. I think I'm confusing my Jurassic
Depends on
Parks.
which Jurassic Park
It depends
you
on which
mean.
Jurassic Park. Yeah, I guess from the original Jurassic Park, the Velociraptors were bad. But then the T-Rex shouldn't have been there because she was the hero.
The real hero.
The real
unsung
hero.
of Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. You're very passionate about this.
I love dinosaurs.
I love Lego Gremlins, and I want one very much.
Yes.
Those are so
they're in
cute.
Lego Dimensions, but I don't think they have actual figures. My last fact before we actually dive in this movie is that Ralph Fiennes, the voice of Alfred, and of course Voldemort, he should not be named, I should say, had previously been shortlisted to play Batman in Batman Forever in 1995.
That would have been
Really?
weird. That would have been really weird.
Yeah.
No, I think he could have done it.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, he's got a nose in real life, so I think it would have been okay.
He does. But you
As
don't
we
need
know,
one to
that
wear
is
the
the
cowl.
most important thing for Batman is the possession of a nose.
Well, how do you
In
get the cowl on otherwise?
1995, he was in Strange Days. So this was before he'd even done The English Patient. So he was coming off of pretty much nothing. He was pretty much an
Yeah.
unknown actor at that point. Interesting choice.
That's probably why he didn't get the role. So let's go ahead and dive into the movie.
Let's do it. Yes.
So Batman opens up our film with perhaps the best voiceover opening of any movie ever.
Okay, let's just
Maybe anything
foreshadow
ever.
the rest of our discussion here. It is always super tempting when you're talking about a comedy to just go into Quote Fest 2017. We just want to quote every single line because they're all jams. We're not going to quote every single line, but we are going to quote the best ones.
Yes.
Vinton, I need you to do this opening crawl because it's just the,
whole
greatest
thing?
thing. The whole thing.
Oh.
Please do the whole thing. This is just
I
for
put
me.
the whole thing, but I put
This
one
is
line
just
in
a
bold,
gift
but I guess
for
I'll do the whole
me.
thing. All right.
Unless, Sarah, you
I have
want to
to-
do the opening crawl in your Batman voice.
You wanna do it in your
You've
Batman voice?
studiously avoided doing a Batman
I have
voice so far
studiously
in
avoided doing a
Excelsior.
Batman voice. Yeah, I'll do it. Black. All important movies start with a black screen and music. Edgy, scary music that would make a parent or studio executive nervous. And logos. Really long and dramatic logos. Warner Bros. Why not Warner Brothers? I don't know. DC, the house that Batman built. Yeah, what, Superman? Come at me, bro. I'm your kryptonite. Not sure what Rat Pack does, but that logo is macho. I dig it. Okay, get yourself ready for some reading. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. Who? No, I said that. Batman is very wise. I also have huge pecs and a 9-pack. Yeah, I've got an extra ab. Now, let's start the movie.
Bravo, first of all. Secondly, what a perfect introduction to
It's
this
so
film.
good.
It's so good.
Watching I don't know if any of our listeners have ever watched any of the YouTube videos done by CinemaSins where they do the everything wrong with various films. I highly recommend it. It's super enjoyable. I love watching all of these. And they just did the Lego Batman movie. And throughout
man, I
that
haven't
entire
seen
thing,
that.
oh, it's so good. Throughout the whole thing, the narrator guy is just like, Lego Batman movie would be excellent at CinemaSins because he's always talking about how, like, all right, a sin for a black screen, sin for narration, sin for these really long logos, sin for reading. It's amazing. Check them out. They're great. But yeah, this was I love that this movie is so self-aware.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It makes
you
me very happy.
immediately know what you're getting. Right.
Yes.
It sets
Yeah.
the tone perfectly. for
Yeah.
everything that follows.
Absolutely. So then we go from there to a plane above Gotham carrying lots of explosims.
MacGuffin Airlines.
Yeah, MacGuffin Airlines, including cute little classic bomb type bombs, which
Yes.
I really appreciate.
Yep. Always glad to see that.
Yeah, and it's hijacked by the Joker. And as you said, MacGuffin Airlines. Also, it's Flight 1138, reference to THX 1138.
Yep.
They get permission to fly over the most crime-ridden city because the pilots are best friends. What even is this movie? They're best friends. We can probably trust them. Also, immediately I have to point out that the lighting in this movie is
It's
phenomenal.
so good.
It is so distinctive from the Lego movie, which is obviously this film's immediate antecedent. It's
Yes.
great to see how they've stepped up the technology. This movie looks amazing. It is much more visually legible. I
Yeah.
suppose I can follow the action so much better than I can in the Lego movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they put so much work into making the lighting look very realistic and very dramatic, just like a real movie would. And It really does. The lights all look super realistic, and there's so many light references. Even like when you get later to the Batcave, they have lights set up all throughout the Batcave, and they talked about how they actually had to set a certain type of brick with a light that worked a certain type of way, and just code that in rather than setting all the lights specifically. So every like fifth brick has a certain light that shines a certain way to make the Batcave.
Oh,
lit up
that's
that
so
way.
cool.
So they had to come up with like coding for that.
It's so cool to think that set design for this movie and for digital movies in general now has more in common with level design for video games.
Yeah.
Than it does
true.
for traditional cinematography, or I guess level design for video games now has a lot more in common with set design for traditional movies than it ever did before.
Yeah. I really appreciate when the pilots play rock, paper, scissors and the guy says, I'm a loser at home and I'm a loser at work. That line really got me in the theater.
So this is one of the things that the Lego Batman movie does that I think the Lego movie did too, to a certain extent, which is that it is clearly playing for the adults in the audience.
Yes.
This movie works for kids because it's Lego Batman and that does everything that you need it to do. But a lot of the dialogue, most of the dialogue is clearly pitched for adults. Did you guys find any discontinuity there? Sarah, you're a huge Disney fan.
Yes.
And Disney has kind of stumbled a little bit when it tries to play for adults in the audience.
Sure.
Does that occur to you here, or did the entire thing
I
work
completely
for you?
enjoyed this movie. It's funny, I didn't feel like this movie was made for kids at all. I felt like this movie was made for 20-somethings. Like, and those of us who like grew up like watching Batman the Animated Series, those of us who grew up playing with Legos, and like, I don't know, like it didn't feel, when those jokes come up, I don't feel like, oh, it's pandering to me, like as somebody who like may have a small child that I would take to the theater. I'm like, no, I'm genuinely loving these jokes. They're genuinely bringing me joy. And yeah, it really felt like it was a movie like made for like our demographic.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And of course, Alistair, you can talk to small kids actually liking the movie, even though that it seems like it's made for us.
Yeah.
It's just so relentless, I think, is what makes it work for very small
Oh,
children.
it's very energetic.
It
Yes.
just
Yeah.
keeps going.
It does not stop.
The only time that the kids are lost by this movie is the deliberately provocative thing that the movie does in order to lose kids, which is the 2-minute microwaving the lobster thermidor
Which
sequence.
is one of my favorite things.
my gosh.
in
Every time I
history.
think of that, Sarah, I think of you screaming, "Commit to the bit!" Because they do.
They totally do.
The lighting in that sequence
Yeah.
is
so
phenomenal.
It somehow ended up being one of my favorite scenes of this whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the remaining pilot is completely unimpressed by the Joker, saying Batman always stops him. Joker swears that this time will be better than the time with the two boats and the time with the parade and the Prince music, referencing The Dark Knight and Batman 1989. A giant group of Gotham's villains descend upon the Gotham Energy Facility. And again, not to just keep quoting lines, but I love this guard. Man, I really like that guy. I sure hope nothing bad happens to him. And then the guy singing, nothing bad ever happens to me. And it should be noted that the Riddler totally rips that guy's arm off.
They're
Wait,
Lego
what?
folks.
Yeah.
They're Lego folks.
They're Lego folks, so it doesn't seem to hurt them as much as a normal person. This is where we get Catwoman saying meow meow over and over as she talks, and people saying pew pew as they shoot guns for the first time. And it's so amazing. There's two things I really love.
Best part about those guns, the fight whenever it's actually Joker and Batman against each other, and Joker is shooting the gun at Batman. Whenever the little rods of light hit something, they just fall down to the ground and just sit there. And it's amazing.
It's perfect.
I love that they include so many obscure villains and list them off so quickly, ending with Condiment King. And yes, those are all real Batman villains because of
You make
comics.
some of those up.
Yeah, and the pilot points that out, and Joker says, nope, they're all real. Probably worth the Google.
The first half of the villains list is pretty normal, and the expected villains. The second half is pretty great. Mr. Freeze, Penguin, Crazy Quilt, Eraser, Polka Dot Man, Mime, Tarantula, King Tut, Orca, Killer Moth, Match Harriet, Zodiac Master, Gentleman Ghost, Clock King, Calendar Man, Kite Man, Cat Man, Zebra Man, and the Condiment King.
Which I don't think I pointed out later, but one of my favorite lines from Orca is when they ask him what his power is, and he goes, I'm a whale!
Oh God, I died.
Awesome.
I died and came back to life and died again.
But yeah, then the pilot points out, are you making some of those up? And Joker says, nope, they're all real. Probably worth the Google, which I really do appreciate. Egghead even takes out the bat signal, and we get O'Hara covered in eggs saying, it's Egghead, sir. I'm well aware of his work. And this is a female version of Chief O'Hara, who you might remember from Batman 66, the movie, in our discussion of that.
Chief O'Hara, who has popped up in Batman continuity repeatedly since I think he was introduced in Batman 66, but has also vanished for long periods of Batman's history because you don't really need that character at all.
He, I think, was killed in one of I think it was no, I don't know. It was either Long Halloween or
I
one
want
of
to
those
put
type
it
of
at the feet
stories.
of Alan Moore, is what I want to do.
But it
That
might
seems
have
like
been.
such an Alan Moore thing to do,
I
is
think
to kill Chewbacca.
Scarecrow hangs him?
Whoa,
no, Calendar Man maybe. I don't remember. It's been too long.
dark.
But I know
Wow,
something
Calendar
happens.
Man is way darker than I expected him to be. I thought that maybe
Something
he
with
just
the-
showed up and like screwed up your eye doctor appointment dates.
I haven't read those books in a long time. I don't remember. And then we get an unnecessarily complicated bomb being placed on the energy core as a threat of destroying the city if the mayor doesn't come to negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
The news ticker says Joker plants Super Joker bomb TM, which I appreciate.
TM.
They reference the Eternal Abyss from the Lego movie and show a clip of it and seem to be saying that Gotham is built on 2 tables in the real world,
Yes.
I would assume.
And not 6.5 football fields or whatever it was that we discussed earlier.
With Batman nowhere to be found, the mayor is flown in. And I appreciate when they say, SWAT team, get your stun guns ready. And they go, non-lethal, yeah! As Madam Mayor is circled by villains, she says...
Mariah Carey.
Yeah, Mariah Carey. She says, I've only got one thing to say to you, Joker. And he says, well, you better make it fast. Do you like to gamble? Oh, I certainly do. Do you ever play roulette? On occasion. Well, let me give you a word of advice. I'm all ears. When playing roulette, yes. And then she pulls off her mask and she's Batman, actually. She is he who is Batman. And he says, always bet on black. And then he says, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts, which is a quote from 1989's Batman when Bruce Wayne said this to the Joker.
That is a thing that Bruce Wayne says to the Joker in the Tim Burton 1989 Batman movie. Yep.
Everyone was on coke in the 80s, right?
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
I think it's very Michael Keaton. I swear he had
so
to have
Michael
ad-libbed that
Keaton.
because
Yeah,
it really feels like a Michael Keaton
God,
line.
I wish he had said that in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, why did he not? I hate that movie now. You made me hate that movie. I'll get over it next time I watch it.
Yep.
Batman starts the Let's Get Nuts mix and begins to beat up everyone while singing about it. And he says, computer, overcompensate as the Batmobile crashes in. And I love the na-na-na-na-nas in the song, calling back to Batman 66. And this song has so many good lines in it. Who never skips leg day? Batman. Who always pays his taxes? Not Batman. Because billionaires don't have to pay taxes. We all know that.
We all know that. Sure. It's 2017. We
That's
know
right.
that. Yeah.
Joker gives Batman the ultimatum that he can either save the city from the bomb or catch his greatest enemy. But Batman breaks Joker's heart, saying Joker isn't his greatest enemy. The Batman doesn't do ships, as in relationships. And he says, I don't need you. I don't need anyone. You mean nothing to me. No one does. And Joker's quivering lips are fantastic.
Yes.
They're very good.
This is such a strong narrative beat. This
Yes.
is going to give us the arc for the entire movie. It's presented here in this little cold open action sequence. I love how well constructed the core plot is in this
Yeah.
story. It's absolutely silly and outrageous, of course, but it fits together beautifully.
Yep.
I love that Batman says that his greatest enemy is Superman twice in this conversation.
He's
Superman's
not
not
a
a bad guy.
Batman lets the Joker go and defuses the bomb and is then celebrated by everyone. And the signs in the crowd have here are great. My favorite is Batman, hard on crime, easy on the eye. And then the guy shouting, Batman, I love you more than my kids. So do I, guy. Batman swings by the orphanage on his way home to turn those frowns upside down, shooting Bat merch from a t-shirt gun. Then heading home in style.
This movie is so good.
And then, of course, when he gets home, computer asks him for the password, and Batman says, Iron Man sucks. Access granted.
The Lego universe, the extended Lego universe, is the only place where you can have DC
Yep.
characters referencing Marvel characters.
Yeah.
I kind of love it a lot.
Would really love if they could do DC versus Marvel Lego.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They can't though, right? Like,
I think they could.
They
Could
actually
they?
they have
Sure.
licenses to both.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
true. I guess
And they
Lego
think of all the
does.
things they threw into this movie.
That's true. Well, I kept wondering because, like, I don't remember us ever seeing like any Marvel characters at all in the original Lego movie either.
Right, yeah.
And we only reference Iron Man here, so I was trying to think about that, and I wasn't sure if it was just like a Warner Brothers versus Disney thing, or like what the situation
They
was.
may not want to cross that divide.
Yeah.
But
Might
be,
certainly
yeah.
Lego makes lots of animations and games
Yeah.
for Marvel.
Yeah.
The Lego Marvel superhero games are actually pretty good. If you're into the Lego games, they kind of do that one thing, whether
Yes.
it's Harry Potter or Marvel
Right.
or whatever.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
That Lord of the Rings
But
one.
the Marvel Lego game gave me exactly what I've wanted in a Marvel game for so long. It just happened to be Legos, and they gave me all these access to all these characters, a free world to just roam and have fun. I can be the Silver Surfer and surf through the city, and be Spider-Man and swing through the city. I can be the Hulk and just throw cars at random citizens. It's great. It's fantastic. I couldn't love it more.
Confirming that these citizens are nefarious.
They're totally evil, super
right.
evil.
Totally
They're all
evil.
evil
Very
and
evil. They're
racist.
very evil.
So racist.
So racist.
Those random car
They
hit
also give
citizens.
you the playability of Excelsior, the superhero that is Stan Lee, that has multiple Marvel characters' powers. He's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, he can also take the powers of Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and then never give them credit. Yeah.
I think that's canon. The news reports that it must be great to be Batman and that he must be going home to party, surrounded by scores of friends and lady tennis players.
Lady tennis players is so good.
It's such a good line. But he is all alone in his gigantic Batcave. And as we've already said, this Batcave is amazing, filled with so many details. Seriously, can we do a whole episode on the Batcave in this
We
film?
should say, we were originally planning on sitting down and doing this movie as we've done previous movies in the form of a commentary track. And we decided
would not
immediately
have
we
happened.
definitely couldn't do it at double speed. We definitely couldn't do it at 1.5 speed. We would just need to watch. No, there's still way too much. We couldn't talk
We'd have to
about this
watch that movie
as it was happening.
at like 0.25 speed is the thing.
The world's first 6-hour commentary track.
Good luck speeding us up, suckers.
I really like that Alfred is grounding tile on the 17th floor in the second bathroom of the 5th master bedroom. But he left Batman's lobster thermidor in the fridge for him.
Yep.
That's probably one of those Lego references that leads to the crediting of the 3 Lego designers in the credits for this movie.
Is the lobster thermidor?
The lobster is definitely classic Lego. I remember having the little lobster when I was a kid and played with Legos. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's weird too, because like usually the more classic Lego you go, the less detail. But that has a lot of detail for how classic it is.
The only thing
really
I
cared
know
about it.
about lobster thermidor is that you have to be at level 10 of cooking in The Sims in order to cook it.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's like
nailed
the
it.
last recipe you learn in
It's
The
also
Sims.
best enjoyed on a bat jet ski.
Yeah, after microwaving it for 2 minutes.
Yes. And as we've already mentioned, for some reason, this microwave scene stuck out in my head when I watched this movie. It just happens to be like one of my favorite scenes. Visually, it's just stunning. They draw it out perfectly.
Yeah.
Really commit to the bit, as we said, in the lighting. Just watching that
so
Batman
good,
shadow
yes.
as it just circulates.
It's gorgeous.
It's
just
so
gorgeous.
Beautiful. Batman hangs out by himself, eating, playing guitar, and watching Jerry Maguire. The gigantic echoing space in the mansion and the time we take to show Batman retyping the time in the microwave, finding the proper input for his theater. It's all so perfect. And that's one of the things that the director mentioned when I watched the commentary was that he really fought to have these things drawn out.
Yeah.
And just feel like not only is there space in the Batman, but there's just space and time here.
Yeah.
Where we're
There
just
has to be.
waiting.
Yeah, these are exactly the kind of jokes that, these are your Mr. Show jokes.
Yeah.
They have to last so long that they stop being funny and then start being funny
Yes.
again.
Yes.
And you have to know when to cut them off before they go through that cycle again.
Right.
Yeah. Batman watches Jerry Maguire laughing at the emotional parts and not understanding the film at all. He looks at the picture of his parents, telling them that he saved the city again and that he thinks they would be proud.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about it. What happens?
That's going to happen a few times in the course of this recording, I think. Yeah. Just remember the next bit of the film. When he kicks Alfred.
Yes, he kicks Alfred into the piano. He's like, "It's my fault. I snuck up on you. I'm sorry."
That's mine and my husband's like favorite part of this movie. Like we just start It's so good.
All of this is staying in the show. I just want you to know that right now. Because that is exactly the response that this movie is looking for. And you got it. Good work, guys.
Yes. Nailed it. And that's when Alfred asks him if he was looking at the old family pictures again. And I just love his response. At the what? The old family. Oh, yes, I see what you mean. Look at that. The old gang. Yeah. No, I wasn't.
And then Alfred says, I see. Sir, if you don't mind me saying, I'm a little concerned. I've seen you go through similar phases in 2016 and 2012 and 2008 and 2005 and 1997 and 1995 and 1992 and 1989 and that weird one in 1966. Do you want to talk about how you're feeling right now?
Which are all references to the major Batman movies.
Yes.
So appropriate.
That dance party scene when he mentions Batman 1966.
Yep.
I don't remember that happening in that.
show.
It's not the movie. It's from
Okay,
the show.
all
yeah.
right, okay.
Yeah.
The Bat-Tusi?
Yeah. It is really appropriate that the 1997 one just shows bat soup nipples.
Yep.
And that the 66 is described as that weird one showing actual footage of, I think that's from the first episode where he goes
he's
to the club and
dancing with
dances.
Cleopatra for some reason?
Which is the one where he tells Robin he has to stay in the car because he's not old enough to go into the dance club. And that's where we get my opening line where Batman says he doesn't talk about feelings. He just feels rage all the time. And he says, "Good night, Alfred." And Alfred says, "Sir, it's morning." And he opens the windows and Batman goes,
He's a vampire bat.
I love it.
Whole thing. This scene is so dense.
Yes.
I've watched this, as I say, a million times, and I'm still finding new things to love about it.
Yeah. Alfred tells him that he thinks it's time that he faced his greatest fear, being a part of a family again.
Not
snake clowns.
clowns.
Not snake clowns. Nope, that's not it. That's not the fear. He then tells him that he's supposed to go to Jim Gordon's retirement party, and Batman rolling around on the ground, up the stairs, saying no over and over is not something I would ever know I needed in my life.
That's the gif. That's the gif from this movie that I love the most and use the most often. No.
He's just like rolling up the stairs.
That, by the way, when the first trailers for this movie initially came out, when the first teasers did, I had no intention of seeing this movie. I was like, Lego movie was fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to go see this Batman one. It looks I don't think it's going to be in my wheelhouse. And then the first trailer is the lobster thermidor scene, and then Batman yelling no and flopping everywhere. And I was like, nope, I'm in like Flynn. This movie was made for me. Thank you, Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Then we have our tuxedo dress-up party. And I love that even when he's almost to the party, we find out that he really hates taking off the cowl.
Yes.
It takes a lot to get him to take off the cowl. I appreciate that.
And I appreciate a good Lego hair joke as much as the next guy.
It's all flat and it puffs out. Superman is on the news talking about the banishing of Zod to the Phantom Zone and how he wouldn't be Superman without fighting Zod. And Joker is also watching this news program, lamenting that Batman doesn't feel the same way about him, but he gets an idea.
By the way, in the background of this scene, Polka Dot Man is dancing on a stripper pole.
I don't think I noticed that.
I
That's
sure
pretty
did
fantastic.
today.
Okay.
I watched it intently,
Do you
going,
think he's polka
what?
dancing on the pole?
No, he's just strip dancing on the pole. But
right.
I see what you do. Polka dots and polka dancing have anything to do with one another?
Probably, but that's
no
probably another podcast.
Okay.
Polka cans. I love how deep cut the plot for this. I mean, the Phantom Zone is a pretty significant thing in Superman's universe, Superman's side of the DC universe. It's not really a Batman concept, but the idea of introducing it to Batman, the idea of this being like the ultimate prison, is really smart.
Yeah.
Having Superman just casually talk about defeating Zod, that is great.
Yeah.
That is really
works well.
nerdy DC stuff. And that's one of the things that I think really sets this film apart. This deep love, not just of Batman, but of the entire DC mythos.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. By the time we get to the Fortress of Solitude, there are so many throwaway gags in there about the other heroes. It's just fantastic.
We should note that on the news footage, when they show Superman sending Zod to the Phantom Zone, the footage says, footage courtesy of Z. Snyder and A. Mockery, the director and cinematographer for Man of Steel. It's pretty great.
But they didn't send Zod to the Phantom Zone in that one.
Just
He
a
just
call
got
out.
his neck broke,
Yeah,
right?
Also colors, so we can be pretty sure that it wasn't
Zack
really-
Snyder didn't make that.
Yeah, I think Superman's happy in this film, so... Harley Quinn's Smilex shirt that we see is a reference to Batman 1989 with, that's what they call Joker's smiling toxin that he poisons people with.
Should always be called Smilex.
Smilex.
It's used a ton of times. It should always be called Smilex. Almost never is, but I love that as a name. It's very good.
That's very good, yeah.
Bruce Wayne arrives at Gordon's retirement where Richard Cheese is singing Man in the Mirror.
And the children's choir.
Yes. Shimon. Shimon. It's fantastic. It couldn't be more perfect. The orphan Grayson is there with the choir, and he runs down to talk to Bruce, who he calls the greatest orphan of all time.
Which makes so much
Screw
more
you,
sense to
Harry
me
Potter.
Now that I know that Bruce Wayne's parents were killed,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah,
I
didn't
don't think
catch
it would
that
have
the
hurt
first
them to
time.
make
Yeah.
that clear in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, you kind of infer it because, like, their pictures are up on the wall and you never really, like, see them around, and you get that conversation with Alfred about, like, you know, I'm your surrogate dad or whatever. So it's like, there are, like, little clues about it, but it's really interesting that they didn't just, like, present that to you, like, just immediately. Like, I don't understand.
There's
I
more
don't
clues
know.
about it in this film than any other.
I
Batman film
know.
I've ever
I
seen.
know.
Bruce gets lost in thought, falling in love with Barbara Gordon, and stops listening to Dick, agreeing to adopt him without realizing it.
If I had a nickel for every child I have accidentally adopted.
Or deliberately adopted on Twitter.
Yeah.
Every time we get the soft rock cutaways to Barbara Gordon, it is my favorite thing. It's so good.
I just died in your arms tonight.
Just died in your arms tonight.
Barbara!
I like that he says it the same every time. Barbara. The mayor announces Barbara Gordon will now be the new police commissioner with a wonderful montage.
She graduated from the Harvard for police.
I can't remember now. I didn't write it down in my notes, but doesn't she fight crime with compassion and statistics?
Yes. Statistics and compassion.
Then she starts her speech. It takes a village, not a Batman. And we get our first Batman spit take, where he specifically asks for a drink so he can do a spit take.
The first spit take is very good. That is a beautifully composed bit. The second spit take that occurs completely off screen and you just hear it is maybe even better.
Yes.
I love that one.
Yeah.
It's almost like a joke from Archer, honestly.
No, it is. Yeah.
The Batman slideshow, when she says that he's been at this for a very, 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 very long time, is a delightful look at Batman's history.
Yes.
He has aged magnificently.
She explains that Batman hasn't actually solved Gotham's crime problem, saying, "We don't need an unsupervised adult man karate chopping poor people in a Halloween costume." It's a pretty good line.
Fair. Yeah.
I wish I could add that line for my Flip the VHS. And then I like the screen says, good about Batman, cool gadgets, loves punching, excellent brooding. But she wants the police to team up with Batman, having him uphold actual laws and be accountable. Yeah. And we get the second spit take. Joker and all the villains arrive, and all of this scene reminds me of the Penguin scene when he arrives and Batman Returns.
Sure.
When they're at the Winter Festival and everything happening there. I haven't seen that in a long time, but I always think of that when I see this scene because the way it's all set up.
Not dissimilar to the Joker arriving with the Ghetto Blaster and Prince music in Batman 89 either. But what's great about this is that this is actually a rebuttal to the common criticism of Batman. Well, you know, if Bruce Wayne just poured a fraction of his money into social programs in Gotham City, he'd take care of. No, not with people like the Joker around. Any one of these villains breaks the laws of society, and you need an exceptional response, which is what Batman is. It's not true, of course. That doesn't work in the real world, but it does work within the internal logic of Batman. And I love that Barbara's taking the completely rational approach here.
Yeah.
But then the Joker shows up.
Yes, absolutely. Then Batman master builds a scuttler, this Batman robot that he builds.
love the scuttler.
I love the scuttler. I love the master build music. I love the building of things. It's just a really great carryover from, because for a lot of this movie, it doesn't need to be a Lego movie. It could just be an animated Batman movie, but the Lego-ness of it really works for me.
Most of the Lego-ness is played out with physical jokes that are very funny. Barbara kicks a lot of butt in this scene, and Joker surprisingly surrenders and explains with a lot of verbal and physical blinks why.
Blink, 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 blinkety, blink, blink.
Are you saying blink?
That's suspicious.
Batman is mystified and wants to fight Joker, but can't because he is surrendering. Batman instead punches Bane. That was unnecessary. Oh, hold on. That was unnecessary.
I love that so much. That's one of my favorite lines in the entire movie. And then when we get the box, we get what I was referring to earlier as my favorite line in the movie is from Conan O'Brien as the Riddler. Riddle me this. What just happened?
It's pretty fantastic. I should also mention at this moment, I really love the Bane character design because they used Tom Hardy's jacket, but the original Bane wrestling mask, it's a perfect combination.
It's very, very
I
good.
really love it. As we mentioned, Joker captures all the other villains, forcing them to surrender except Harley Quinn, who's off doing something else.
Something nefarious.
Batman is pushed aside as Barbara Gordon is celebrated, and the media asks Batman what he will do with his life now that crime is over, saying maybe he can spend some time with his family. We then get a music video to One Is the Loneliest Number as Batman mopes around. And I really love that when the people start rioting, saying no more crime. They're
no
flipping
more crime
police cars and catching things on fire. No more crime, no more crime.
It's so good.
It's very good.
Great,
Barbara catches Batman spying on the villains in prison. As Batman says, Joker can't just run around loose in the prison. He has to go somewhere outside the law. A disguised Harley Quinn pulls up in a laundry truck labeled Phantom's Own Laundry Service to give Batman an idea.
This is such a great joke. It's such a great joke when the door opens and it's Phantom Zone.
Yes.
And it's got the old Lego ghost.
It does, and it's got the it's credited to Quinzel Corporation or something, which is of course Harley's real name. It's beautifully done, really beautifully done. And to have Barbara just kind of peering around it while she's still talking to Batman as he's perched on the lamppost. It's very good.
And that's also Harley Quinn ran off. When she ran off, she said, "It's time for Operation Take Out the Laundry."
Yes.
Which is a reference to this happening.
Talking about all the jokes in this movie is making me think about. There's been a discourse kind kind of going around parts of Twitter lately talking about how, talking about how comedy used to be that you would just make fun of like a certain group of people. You know, you would make fun of like fat people, or you would make fun of gay people, or you'd make fun of like, you know, be mean with jokes. But like, I think that this movie is absolute proof that you do not need to do that at all. And that comedy is so much more than that. And that comedy that avoids doing that is better and funnier. And I really appreciate that about this movie, because it's not any of like this mean comedy or anything like that. Like, this is all like, I guess, like new comedy, quote unquote.
The problem with comedy like this is that it's much harder.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
That fat guy, he's fat. That's an easy joke.
Very easy
Writing
joking.
this stuff
Easy
is
writing
tough.
right there.
This is the distinction for me between, you know, you've got, I guess, Everybody Loves Raymond or King of Queens on the far end of the spectrum, and then Parks and Rec on the opposite end.
Yes.
Right.
Where, you know, the fact that we make fun of Jerry Gergich, Larry Gergich, in the way that other shows make fun of every character is held up for inspection in Parks and Rec.
Yes.
Right.
That's what makes Parks and Rec.
Yeah, and the character himself brings out an interesting part of that too.
Yeah.
Because he's the happiest dude with the best life.
Seriously,
Exactly.
the most beautiful wife, most beautiful daughters. He ends up mayor of the town, like lives forever. Yeah,
It kind of ends up as a commentary on what mean jokes
Exactly
are.
right. Yeah.
Barbara Gordon says that there's no way that they can send the Joker to the Phantom Zone. She suggests that they work together to find out what the Joker's up to in the law, but Batman doesn't want that, saying, then I have to go into double secret super vigilante mode. You said that out loud. I know that she said that I said that out loud, but there's no way that I did. She has no idea what's going on in my super mind. Super mind? Ah! Smoke bomb! I love it. It's fantastic. That being the dialogue. Oh, I love it so
The
much.
consistency with which Batman pronounces vigilante is so good.
I love the way he shrieks before throwing the smoke bomb too. The smoke bombs in this movie look really good.
They
Also.
do. Yeah.
Batman can't access his computer, and Alfred says that he parental locked it. He says that he has been reading Setting Limits for Your Out of Control Child.
Which he was when the celebration for Commissioner Gordon was attacked. Yeah.
This book, if you look at the authorship on it, it says it's written by Dr. Bartholomew Whopper, a character most known as the psychiatrist critical of Batman's vigilantism in the Dark Knight Returns comic. He's also showed up in the animated series.
Never caught that. That's amazing.
Wow.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Alfred says Batman needs to take responsibility for his life, starting with raising his son. Dick has been living in the mansion for a week now.
with no interaction. Like,
No.
I mean, I guess Alfred maybe.
Yeah, Alfred says he's growing to
presumably.
like him, so yeah, he's maybe made him some lobster.
I was about to make that exact joke.
He says it would be nice if Batman would take him under his wing, like Alfred did for him as a child. And then Batman says, Alfred, you've been watching way too many Lifetime movies and drinking Chardonnay.
It's Pinot Grigio.
Pinot Grigio, sir.
Whatever it is. Listen, you don't have a family. You're satisfied serving me. So what would you know about having a surrogate son?
You're right, Sarah, in that there are parts of this movie that are very Archer.
Yes.
And the relationship between Batman and Alfred, extremely Archer.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I can see that. And then Alfred lets Dick into the Batcave, saying, I'm not letting him into the Batcave, sir. I'm letting him into your life via the Batcave.
So good.
To which then we get the joke, wait, does Batman live in Bruce Wayne's basement? No, Bruce Wayne lives in Batman's attic. Dick wonders at all the cool stuff, including all the Bat vehicles,
Yes.
which include most of the major Batmobiles from the comics, animated series, and all the movies except 66. I can never find that one in there.
No, I haven't seen that one in there. But we do get, of course, the shark repellent, which
Yep.
we recently
Yeah.
ridiculed here on Excelsior.
And that
while
does
watching Batman
come
the
back
movie.
up
It
in the
does.
movie,
It's
even,
so
which
good.
I
Yes,
appreciate.
yes.
Batman asks how to get the Joker into the Phantom Zone to the computer, and she tells him that he must get the Phantom Zone projector from the atomic cauldron in Superman's Fortress of Solitude. But only
God,
a
that's a
person
lot of things.
that isn't shredded, ripped, or extremely swole can get inside. I really appreciate Siri saying extremely swole.
It's very good. Yeah.
And the chance of failure against the defense mechanisms is 110%. I should say in Superman comics, the atomic cauldron is basically an atomic soup that disintegrates the weapons that Superman doesn't want in the
Yes.
world anymore, wants
Yeah.
to get rid
It's
of.
his superpowered disposal mechanism. This is not the atomic cauldron, but again, I love that we're using that as a name for this thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's
perfect.
really neat.
Supergirl has been thrown into that twice at least.
What?
Who boy?
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Apparently-
hear Atomic Cauldron and I immediately think of the Galactic Cauldron from Sailor Moon, but that's for a different time.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
Step by incremental step, we're getting closer to the Sailor Moon podcast
eventually we're
here on
going to do
Excelsior.
the Sailor Moon one. Yeah,
Hold
the
on.
Galactic Cauldron is where all of the Sailor Senshi come from. Anyway.
Do you want to do this back and forth with me, Sarah?
Yes, I do.
We can do Batman and Robin's lines.
Yes, I'm going to do my Angus McDonald
Okay.
voice.
Yay!
Hey, kid.
Yes, sir?
You're super nimble, right?
I sure am.
And small
Very.
and quiet
When I desire to be.
and 110% expendable.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
I love that back and forth. It's fantastic. And then he tells them when he says you're going to steal something, we have to right a wrong. And sometimes in order to right a wrong, you have to do a wrong right. Gandhi said that. Are we sure Gandhi said that? I'm paraphrasing. Cool.
I love Dick Grayson so much.
Pretty amazing.
He's so good. Oh, man.
This is how this dynamic breaks down. You are the Dick Grayson of Excelsior. Vincent
Yes.
is the Batman, and I am definitely the Alfred Pennyworth.
Yes.
I can.
Does that make
comfortable with
Elizabeth
that.
the Batgirl? The Rosario Dawson
I'm sorry.
Batgirl?
Do you mean Commissioner Gordon?
Oh, wait. Yes, I do mean
If
Commissioner
you call
Gordon.
her Batgirl, does she get to call you Batgirl? It doesn't
yeah.
work when you're both women.
Sure don't.
She can call me Bird Girl,
You first girl.
Hawk Girl,
Nope.
Hawk Guy, Hawk Guy.
And now it's costume time for Dick. We get some fun, fantastic costume jokes here, including Batman saying that the mariachi one is racially insensitive. And then we finally get a reason for Robin's brightly colored suit. He takes it from a reggae outfit, and the R is for reggae, not Robin. I really
Sure.
appreciate it.
This is good. Excellent. Excellent. Good job.
Yes.
People have been wondering this whole time, why is Robin wearing those bright colors when Batman wears all black? Which also comes up as a joke when they're trying to hide later. And then Robin tearing off the pants always makes me laugh. Rip!
Yep, we go to that joke a lot. I thought I was tired of that joke from, I guess, the second trailer that I saw for this movie back when I didn't.
Turns
think
out
I
you
would watch this movie.
weren't.
Turns out I super wasn't.
Nope, it gets way better when Alfred does it. And then, speaking of Alfred, he says, "Why is Master Dick dressed like that? How dare you tell me how the parrot, the kid I just met."
That's how I'm going to be as a parent, by the way.
And we get this beautiful 1966 TV show Batman scene change with a Lego bat. It's
Very good.
pretty good. Robin hesitates leaving because his new dad, Bruce, hasn't approved. So Batman says that he's actually sharing custody with old Bruno. And Robin is ecstatic at having gone from no dads to two dads so quickly. It's raining dads.
It's raining dad.
Robin asks where the seatbelt is, and Batman says that the first lesson is life doesn't give you seatbelts. But when he has to stop quickly for an old lady, Robin is thrown forward, and Batman promises to have Alfred put in seatbelts later. I know this really isn't important to the plot, but I really love that joke's progression.
It's
from
a
start to
very
end.
good joke. Yes,
Yeah.
Batman tells Robin to sneak into a vent in the Fortress of Solitude and shoots down Robin's idea, saying only Batman has good ideas, showing him a counter of 5.5 million good ideas for Batman versus everyone else's 0 good ideas. And Batman tells Robin that Superman has no friends and spends his time alone. Sorry, let me try that again. Batman tells Robin that Superman has no friends and spends his time at his alone palace, but is surprised to find all the super friends there having the 57th annual Justice League anniversary party, and Batman wasn't invited. 2 points. Superman's doorbell is the John Williams Superman movie theme song, which is
Yes,
fantastic.
yes.
Good.
And the Justice League did appear in 1960, 57 years ago.
Oh, nice. I didn't catch that. That's
Excellent. Good job, continuity, guys.
Good.
My favorite part of this is whenever Green Lantern is like, yeah, sometimes I don't get Superman's emails for years.
And then Superman's like, yeah, thanks for that. Flash has Batman take a picture of everyone, leaving him out of it. Batman talks Robin through complicated moves to get through all the defenses as Robin suggests his nickname of Robin and his catchphrase of tweet, tweet on the street. As Robin completes all the complicated moves, Batman tells him now to do it all in reverse order and leaves to meet him outside.
I love that we just cut to outside.
The visuals of the Atomic Cauldron are just fantastic.
Yeah.
Robin's infiltration there.
get another
I love
build
that sequence.
scene.
Yeah.
Batman starts to have feelings outside, but slowly pushes those off, saying that he's proud of only himself. Batman didn't want to be called Dad earlier, but he comes up with an excuse to let Robin call him Padre, saying, well, isn't it also a cool Spanish way to say buddy? Yeah, I could have been saying it that way. two head to Arkham Asylum to get Joker, and we get the great line of, what's the vigilante code on cookies? Unlimited. And he holds up cookies. I love it. It's good. Batman loves cookies. The duo run into Barbara Gordon immediately despite their horrible stealthy moves. Which, again, why is Robin wearing such brightly colored clothing if Batman's supposed to be wearing all black to be stealthy?
Yes.
Batman and Robin rush the projector into the Joker's cell when Barbara finds out their plans and tries to stop them. Batman sends Joker off, making him oh so happy. And then we get pantsless Batman, which is also pretty funny.
Yes.
They're attached to the boots.
This is really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Somebody get this guy some pants. Barbara locks up Robin and Batman, and Robin says, as long as I'm spending a dime in the big house with my old man, everything's going to be A-okay. And this is also where we get Batman calling Barbara Gordon Bigo, which I really like. Bigo, why has no one fist bumped me yet?
Bigo is excellent.
Barbara tells Batman that she used to look up to him, but he can't be a hero if he only cares about himself. She worries that the Joker wanted to go to the Phantom Zone. And in the Phantom Zone, we meet the adorable Phyllis, who scans Joker saying he's a villain. He is a villain, but with vulnerabilities. And Joker meets a ton of villains and tells him he's there to help them escape. Mm-hmm. These villains.
Yes. Lord Voldemort, Sauron, King Kong, the Kraken, Jaws, Agent Smith, Dracula, Medusa, the Wicked Witch of the West, the Gremlins, and, of course, British robots.
Yeah. The Daleks.
The Daleks. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Really very good.
Harley steals the projector and unleashes the villains on Gotham, led by the Joker. And I really like the one citizen who just goes, I'm going to go start looting.
Yeah. Oh, man. Nathan lost
Good
it.
throwaway line
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Joker disses the Gotham villains locked up in Arkham and introduces some of the villains, mispronouncing Voldemort and Sauron, and not even knowing the names of the Daleks, saying, and rounding out the evil all-stars, Wicked Witch, Medusa, and British robots. Exterminate. Ask your nerd friends. And I think this joke missteps because everyone thinks that they don't have the rights to say Dalek, but they do. They absolutely do.
Joker doesn't know it.
And this was actually based off an improvised line by Zach Galifianakis, where he just thought it'd be funny to have him mispronounce things and not know what Daleks are.
That's so
and
funny.
the director kept it because it reminded him of when he was a kid and Doctor Who was super obscure and no one knew what the Dalek was.
Because he says Sauron, and it's not Sauron, you guys.
Sauron.
It's Sauron.
This is also where we get the weird throwaway joke of Commissioner Gordon. You got to take a look at this. What's that? A monkey and a dog are friends.
I don't care. I love it so much.
It's so good, right?
This is the Jerry Maguire joke from earlier. This is the Lobster Thermidor joke. This is, the non sequitur anti-humor joke, where the joke is that it's not actually a joke. I love it very much.
My favorite joke in this entire sequence is when Barbara gets on the horn to O'Hara and is like, what are you guys doing? Is anything like, can you do something about this? And O'Hara goes, no, everyone's been turned into fish. Officer Johnson, stop flopping around.
Yeah, stop flopping around. It's pretty good.
It's so good.
Joker has Sauron find the Batcave. And then that's when we get that line of, hold on a sec. Are you trying to tell me Bruce Wayne is Batman's roommate?
Yeah.
Sauron clearly knows and is just like not wanting to tell him, I guess. The villains take over the Batcave and Wayne Manor as Alfred escapes. And Joker then rubs his butt all over Batman stuff, saying they're going to have to rename the Batmobile the Buttmobile.
In case you're wondering which jokes are the biggest hits with the 2-year-old and the 4-year-old, boom.
Is it Buttmobile?
It's Buttmobile. Buttmobile's pretty good. Buttmobile's pretty popular. Yeah.
Robin asks Batman if he ever gets scared, and he says no. But Bruce Wayne does, and he gets out of it by beatboxing. And the two beatbox. It's very fun.
They do, kind of. Yeah, this is a little painful. This is a little difficult to watch, but yes.
Barbara releases the two of them as long as Batman is willing to work as a team with her. And he is saying that BAT stands for best at teamwork. He's best at teamwork, man. Alfred shows up surprising them, which I really like. How'd you get in here? What? And joins them with the Batman 66 costume saying, I miss the 60s. And that's when he rips off his clothes. Rip.
So good.
Pretty good.
This, of course, we should say, the entire premise of this film kind of revolves around the paradox of Batman, which is that he is the loneliest loner who ever loaned. He is the sole vigilante. He is the knight in the dark. Who is also constantly surrounded by the Bat family.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it very much. It's really smart and, again, really engaged with the source material.
Right. Batman then scoffs at the idea of a Suicide Squad jobbing at the movie, saying, what am I going to do? Get a bunch of criminals together to fight criminals? That's a stupid idea.
Fair,
Yeah,
Batman.
yep. Mhm.
Real fair.
Visit commonroomradio.com and download our commentary track for Suicide.
Yep.
We say about the same thing. That summarizes it. The group pieces together a bat plane and an exciting air battle ensues, which we get that great line. Why'd you build it with just one seat? Because last time I checked, I only had one butt.
Another great 2-year-old joke.
Another great 2-year-old joke and a great Benton joke. The villains find all of Batman's vehicles and his movies about relationships. Batman still doesn't trust his team, leaving a rope as an autopilot as he charges in to fight outside.
Until I come back, Rope, you're in charge.
You're in charge. Then
the payoff when he's like, Rope, you lied to me.
Yes, it's a good line. I put it in there. I'm
I
probably
feel
going
like
to
it
read
takes
it.
a long time to get there, but the payoff is
Payoff
absolutely
is
worth
very good. Then he tells Barbara, get back to the plane. Supervise Rope. Then he tells Robin and Alfred come out to help him, and he says, you disobeyed me. You're on the timeout. Batman, you're on the timeout. What? Alfred, you better untime me out right now. No, not until you untime out Master Dick. Guys, you're all on timed out. I've been parented. It's good. It's good.
If only Robin had been adopted by Barbara Gordon, everything would have been so very different.
Yes. Alfred almost falls to his death, but Barbara steers the plane down to catch him. Barbara, did you see that? Bat Rope saved Alfred. Sick moves, Rope. I never doubted you, bro. It's pretty good. I'm just going to keep saying that. It's my catchphrase. It's a very good movie. Batman starts to trust his team more, and they lead the Kraken blast right into the eye of Sauron, destroying it and getting Joker's eye off Batman.
I love that the Kraken is just like, and just sneaks off.
Yeah,
Like,
he just like saunters off like, oh.
does he get sent back to the Phantom Zone, or does he
No,
just
he
live
shows
in
back
Gotham
up.
Bay now?
He shows back up.
Okay.
But I kind of wish that he would have just disappeared.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't mentioned it, but I'm really glad that they put Harryhausen's Kraken in this film. It's a nice call.
It is.
Robin mentions that he has Gymkata fighting style, which is a reference to the 1985 film of the same name, not the real fighting style, but it was in that film where it was a karate film where the guy used gymnastics to perform karate moves.
Gymkata.
Gymkata. The group lands safely, and Batman adds one single good idea to the other side of his counter for all of them. They take a selfie together, but when Batman hears the word Bat Family, it's too much for him to take. He can't take the F word. I really like that all the photos in this film are illustrations, just like it would be if you got like a Lego pack and it had a sticker for a photo.
Yeah.
It would be
Yeah,
a little
exactly.
illustration.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's
Yeah.
perfect. He tricks them into the scuttler and has the pewter take them away for their safety.
And does the
Get them chimichangas.
he White Fangs Scuttler.
He does. He, Harry, and the Hendersons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scuttler has little ears that go down.
I know.
And he's like,
Get
go
out
on,
of
get
here,
out
I
of
don't
here.
love you anymore. Go on.
It's adorable.
That, by the way, like in any situation, like white fanging is one of my favorite jokes of all time. Yeah, I adore that joke very much.
Yeah.
When it's taken seriously, I die.
Yeah,
See
sure.
where the wild things are in the Good Dinosaur.
Batman finds Joker in the Wayne Manor turned funhouse. Joker says, you run away from everyone else in your life, but I'm the one you're always chasing. And he says, you never once said, I hate you. I hate you. And Batman just goes, me too. It's pretty good. Joker breaks up with Batman and sends him to the Phantom Zone, saying that he's going to blow up Gotham, saying, I'm not your greatest enemy. You're your greatest enemy.
Yeah.
Phyllis welcomes Batman as a bad guy, and he can't convince her otherwise. She shows a montage of his badness to those that care about him. She asks if they were the ones he was protecting by pushing them away. The Bat family convinces the pewter to go save Batman. And then we get Robin saying he's going to save his family, and he says, what would Batman do? I know, not listen to anyone else. Be mean to people. Destroy as much property as possible. Talk in a really low gravelly voice. And go it alone.
And this is the turning point for Batman. This is
Yeah.
when he realizes that actually protecting himself from family, etc., this is the moral turn. It's a fairly simplistic moral arc, but
Yeah.
it's landed just really well.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
compelled by it when I'm
Yeah.
watching the film. Yeah.
You can't make it too complex and still keep it a kid's movie. You got to be able to follow the plot too.
Yeah.
Batman, seeing his loved ones in danger, convinces Phyllis to let him out for 24 hours to get all the bad guys back to her. He helps save his friends, then fights really, really hard to apologize, admitting he was afraid of losing those close to him again. He gave all of his friends their own signals.
Aww.
They call on,
cute.
then they call on all the villains from Arkham who also get their own signals. When do they have time to do this? because they're still mad at Joker, and they all come to take him down.
Yeah.
The team suits up, and that's where we get the line, if you call me Batgirl, can I call you Batboy?
Yes.
I do like all of her costumes, the soccer mom. Yes. That's pretty good. That's when we get rickrolled by Robin, and the team goes to battle to pop music that fills Batman with rage.
I don't know what that song is, but I have got to find it because, man, that is just a good jam.
Yeah.
It really is.
The battle begins. Batman teaches Robin how to drive and tells him, great job. Actually being proud of him and showing it's like a callback to that. And then the two punch bad guys so hard that words materialize out of thin air describing the impact, which is a beautiful callback to 1966 Super Batman. I love all the 66 callback jokes. They're great. And it's also where we get Wingardium Levio, shut up. Another good line.
I think I just discovered my favorite wizard swear.
Oh, there it is.
It's not your favorite wizard swear.
No, it's not. It's my second favorite.
Go to YouTube, search for McElroy wizard swear. You'll learn Sarah's favorite wizard swear.
The Bat Team gets all the villains back to the Phantom Zone with teamwork.
Yay.
Robin even gets to use the shark repellent to save Batman from Jaws. And I really wish that Jaws would have blown up afterwards. That would have been fantastic.
Oh, man. Well, he wasn't filled with dynamite.
He wasn't,
What are we
unfortunately.
doing?
I do like earlier, I didn't point out that Jaws is piloting a submarine, commanding it. It's pretty good. He's not in the water. He's literally in the submarine commanding. The bomb goes off as they finish, though, and Gotham starts to split apart. All the Gotham villains and the Bat Team start sticking together to form bridges and pull the gap together. But Batman realizes he needs Joker's help, and he admits, you're the reason I get up at 4 in the afternoon and pump iron until my chest is positively sick. If you help me save Gotham, you'll help save us. And Joker says, you had me at shut up. All the citizens join in, and the city is clicked back together, which it's really satisfying.
Really,
that click.
Yes.
Anticlimactic, but also really satisfying.
Yes.
And Batman finally says it. I hate you, Joker. Batman knows he has to go back to the Phantom Zone, but he reveals his secret identity to Robin while saying goodbye and calls him son and admits Barbara, Alfred, and Robin are his family. And then he says, don't call me Padre as he's pulling off the mask. Call me Dads. Which I do appreciate. Sometimes losing people is a part of life, but that doesn't mean you stop letting them in. Some very wise people taught me that, which we get. It's a nice moment.
Yeah, there's
For
a
really
lot,
funny movie, it's a nice
of
moment.
heart at the end here. Yeah.
And then I also really like what he calls Barbara, platonic coworker buddy, who's a girl, but just a friend. It always makes me laugh. Phyllis, though, sees Batman has changed and stops him from getting into the Phantom Zone. Barbara catches Batman and he says, do you have a knife? Why? Because someone needs to cut the tension between the two of us immediately. And he says, immediately. Immediately. It's good. Then Phyllis says, I've finally seen a man, in order to make the world a better place, takes a look at himself and makes a change. And Batman says, who?
Echoing the line from earlier. It's very good.
Michael Jackson who in there.
Yep.
Most of the jokes in this movie should be terrible, but end up working so perfectly.
Yeah.
I love that they tie the Michael Jackson song even back, and it's so weird. The Bat family gives the Gotham villains a head start before proceeding to catch them all. They have a big dinner at the mansion. They all watch Jerry Maguire, all laughing at it together, and they hang the family selfie on the wall.
Yep.
We get a glimpse at the snake clowns finally at the end, and Batman lets Robin play a song he wrote for the end credits, and we get a music video credit sequence. The song is called Robin's Happy Poppy Music. That kind of makes let me just try that again. The song is called Robin's Happy Poppy Music, the kind that makes parents and studio executives happy, which is a brilliant way to do that. Yeah. Also, the white and gold dance costumes that we get,
They're
and Joker's
so
Kanye
good.
glasses.
That is
Yeah.
a very,
Pretty great.
very terrible, very awesome look for the Joker.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's all like I love that whole sequence. It's phenomenal.
And then Batman does the beat drop solo rap, which is really good. I heard that Will Arnett's takes a toll on his voice to do the Batman voice, obviously. But he said doing this rap was awful. He said it was really hard to do. And he said he did it, and he was like, that's the only take you're getting from me. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
can't
read
do
that too.
again.
Yes, this is it. This is what you're getting. It's not good. It's fine. Yeah.
make it work.
Make it work.
Designers.
Designers. Tim Gunn, you're my hero. And then we end our movie with Batman putting a lens cap on the camera saying, wow, that was fun. Really hope no one was recording that. Let me see. Oh, yeah, this thing was on. This thing is recording.
A perfect stupid meta joke to conclude a perfect stupid meta movie, I
Yes.
suppose.
Yeah.
Guys, what do you make of this film in its entirety? What do you make of this crazy ramshackle plot?
This film should not work. These jokes should not be funny. I should not like this movie. I should think this is silly and ridiculous, even though I do love Lego and Batman. And yet somehow it has found perfection in all the things it should not be.
That's beautifully put. That's absolutely beautifully put. Yeah.
It's my favorite Batman movie.
I can entirely see why.
Yeah.
It doesn't all entirely work for me, the pulling Gotham together again. I'm not sure that that's really necessary. Having Batman and the Joker unite to save Gotham doesn't quite work.
It doesn't really make any sense because there's all those people. You don't need just the Joker.
Yeah, exactly.
Really.
But there's also this weird... There's something weird about the relationship. There's something, we're obviously parodying, rom-com relationships. The "you've never said I hate you" and all these moments between the two of them, which is fine. But those relationships, as they're presented in romantic stories and romantic comedies in particular, that type of romance is pretty damn toxic and it's pretty damn awful. And I know that I am super overthinking this. You don't have to email me. I know that I'm a giant nerd about the whole thing, but that is a little weird, and I would prefer a story where Joker realizes in the end he doesn't need Batman, or Batman realizes that he doesn't need the Joker, and we don't have this awful symbiotic codependent relationship. You guys, it would be great if it could just be singularly awesome. And I love that we dodged that bullet with Barbara. I love that there's the faintest hint of some attraction between Batman and Barbara, but we never pursue it. It's always just shut down immediately. And absolutely, that works for me. So the drawing the city together doesn't really work, and I do feel like it loses some pace when Batman is locked up in Arkham. It takes a little while when we switch focus to the Joker, when he goes to the Phantom Zone and we're doing the recruitment scene. We know exactly how that scene's going to play out. We didn't actually need to see any of that. And I'm not convinced that it wouldn't be more impressive if he returned from the Phantom Zone and this was the first time that we were seeing all the villains. If we were seeing all of these
introduce them after we've already seen them and had them talk.
Right. Like if he just showed up and you just saw like shadowy figures everywhere, and then when he comes back.
I think the Phyllis joke is needed because it really plays off the Batman Phyllis joke later.
Sure. That's great.
But
you're right.
That's all you need is the Phyllis joke and then the shadows when he says, "Where are the villains?" And then you just skip right to the introductions.
Because Barbara already foreshadows it. She's saying maybe getting sent to the Phantom Zone is exactly what he wants, which we of course know because we saw him put the Harley plot into action.
Yeah.
And then if you have the Joker, also that weird pixelated graphic effect on the wormhole before everyone comes back from when the giant Joker face is looming over Gotham. That's clearly a reference to something. I have no idea what that's a reference to. I don't know why it's a weird pixelated face. Could be. I have no idea. But if that had been our introduction, it was like, holy crap, Voldemort is in this movie. Sauron's in this movie. Godzilla's in this movie.
Oh,
sorry. Godzilla not in this movie.
Not appearing
they could not get rights for Godzilla in this movie. Yes.
Harryhausen's The Kraken.
It's perfect. If that was the introduction. So, but the fact that I'm critiquing this movie's structure and narrative at this level indicates that this is an incredibly well put together film. It's not just funny. It's nothing like as anarchic and self-indulgent as it appears. Like the Lego movie, this is a very finely crafted piece of narrative.
Yeah.
All the more impressive for that. Good work, you guys. Here's my real question now. If there is a Lego Batman 2 or we get a Lego Superman movie, are you guys going to go and see it in the theater? Have they now convinced you that this is a format?
I think so,
A Lego Wonder Woman, Sarah?
Yeah.
Oh, man. A
Lego Justice League is more likely.
Sure, absolutely. I would definitely. I would love a Lego Justice League. That sounds like it would just be fantastic. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Well, we're going to get the real Justice League, and that may be very simple.
Womp, womp, womp.
It might be great. It might still be great. It might still be great. Sarah, wrap up the show. Take us out of here.
Okay, I'm going to do that thing. If you guys like this show, which I hope you do, I mean, I feel like this is a really fun episode.
Why wouldn't you?
If this was your first episode, welcome. Hey, thanks for coming to the party.
Howdy.
You haven't gotten our emails in years. But if you enjoy the show, if you want to support us, if you want to help us make more stuff like this, if you want access to exclusive gag reels for Excelsior, which I highly recommend, they're very, very funny. Mostly it's me forgetting how to start the show. Then all you have to do is go over to patreon.com/commonroomradio, where you can kick us $1 a month or whatever you can afford. You can interact with us over on Twitter. You can find us at ExcelsiorCast. You can find me at Elsa Grab the Salt.
I'm at Paper Bullets.
And I'm at Fleshy there. And remember to leave us a rating and review on iTunes. That really helps us out.
It sure does. And I think that's going to do it for us. Boys, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we are talking about Batman The Long Halloween, returning to creators Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale.
Thematically very similar to Lego Batman, kind of lighthearted take on the Bat family.
Sure,
We
yeah.
are kicking off the darkness that is the Halloween month of October with The Long Halloween. This is a 13-issue comic book series.
Holy
It's
crap.
a little bit longer than what we usually do, so we're probably not going to be as detailed. We're going to rush through some of it, do some more brief synopsis, but it's a really good comic, and I think it's really good for this month specifically. So I'm really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, and to be clear, like so that there is no confusion and you don't accidentally pick this up for your 8-year-old who you somehow let listen to Excelsior. Don't do that.
Don't do that
I'm sorry.
thing.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't tell you how to parent this kid that you just met.
I've been parented.
The Long Halloween is serious Batman for serious people. This is a very, very adult, dark book. So, yeah, there will be a certain amount of tonal differentiation between this episode of Excelsior and next week's episode where we're all grim and
You remember that time that we did the Vision series?
Yeah.
Is it going to be like that?
Remember that emotionally ruinous hour and a half that we spent in the company of Vision?
It'll definitely be the episode that makes us decide, let's never do a 13-issue arc again.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
I'm going to try my best.
But that is going to be an absolute blast. I can't wait to talk more Batman.
Excellent. Yeah, it's going to be great. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week. Until then, from Common Room Radio, I'm Sarah K. Bazant.
I'm Alistair Stevens.
And my name's Richard Grayson, but all the kids at the orphanage call me Dick.
Well, kids can be cruel.
Excelsior!